My next guest is a world-renowned scientist and National Geographic explorer. He also stars in a Netflix documentary, Unknown Cave of Bones. It explores what could be the world's oldest graveyard, located deep inside a cave in South Africa. Lee Berger joins me now to chat about the discovery and his new book, Cave of Bones. Welcome to New Day.
Thank you. I love Seattle.
I am so excited to talk to you about all these things because this is fascinating stuff. So the cave you explored, was near Johannesburg, South Africa. How far into the cave did you go? Were you like one of those people squeezing through?
Oh, absolutely. The cave is called Rising Star Cave. It was discovered decades ago, but then these discoveries were made back in 2013. They're about 150 yards into this cave and about 40 yards below the surface. And that's not the bad part. To get there, it's the most extraordinary, dangerous, extreme journey. Only 47 people have ever been into that chamber. I'm one of them.
One of 47 people.
And it squeezes down to 7.5 inches, a vertical drop of about, say, something like 15 yards. And you have to squeeze the whole way.
Oh my gosh, this is making me like...
I almost died getting out. I mean, it was tough. You can read about that in the book.
All right. Wow, that is... So when you get down there, one of the 47 people who've made it down, how do you know it's something special? What tips you on?
So we'd originally found it and seen bones on the surface that were clearly ancient human relatives. You could tell that, that's what I do for a living. They were on the surface. We started an expedition back in 2013 called the Rising Star Expedition. Had 6 women scientists that were in there at the front of that. We discovered the largest assemblage of ancient human relatives in history. What was amazing about them, they're much younger than anyone thought. They're about 250,000 years, existing at the same time as humans, but they're not human. They have a brain,
fascinating,
about 1/3 the size of ours, within the range of a chimpanzee. They walk on 2 legs.
Okay, so they're upright walking humanoids.
And that's about where the similarities stop, because their whole anatomy is adapted differently to climbing. They have very light bones. Their spines are like Neanderthals, pelvis is wide. These hands are kind of human-like with superhuman thumbs and curved.
Wow.
And they bury their dead, and they carve symbols on the walls above their dead hundreds of thousands of years before humans did it.
Wow. So they have a smaller brain than the humans that were around at the time, yet they were already looking into venerating their dead and remembering them. So obviously there was a lot of great feeling in these people.
I mean, I guess you could go to love. I mean, that idea of mortuary practices, dealing with the dead, which all humans do.
Yeah.
All cultures of humans do. That actually is one of the things we used to think defined us until this moment.
Yeah.
The idea that we care for the dead, because it has ramifications for looking into the future, the past, the awareness of self, and of course love.
Yeah.
And they were taking the dead bodies of their relatives into these extraordinary spaces where we go, and it was as difficult then.
So
as
wait,
it is now.
they weren't living there. This wasn't there. Like, there's not like a. I thought maybe over time there was like a path that was sealed. So they made this journey with their dead. So this is a sacred place.
Those are human words. We got to be careful with that.
That's okay.
Because you're getting to part of the problem. We identify ourselves by these kind of words because that's how we separate ourselves egotistically from animals.
Okay.
We like to say we're different. What this says is humans aren't that exceptional. We didn't even invent these things first.
Wow. I like the way you're thinking about that. We were looking at some of the carvings earlier, and I was just so enraptured by what you were saying. But what were on some of these carvings? Were they lines? What were they?
Yeah, so you'd recognize them. You would say, I know what those mean. There are crosses, both upside down and right side up. There are triangles, equilateral triangles. Some people think that means there's mathematics. There's squares, a lot of geometric signs. There's a fish-shaped thing, but maybe it didn't mean that to them. And there's a hashtag or a cross hashtag. Well, they didn't think of it as Twitter, I assure you that.
Well, yes.
But we see these symbols too. Neanderthals actually etch some of these symbols too, and the earliest humans do it. Okay. We use them in math and music today.
So these are not the same species, I could say, that became human. How does this change our conventional thinking?
Well, I think that the biggest thing out of this is that the story, that sort of story of how special we are, how we invented all this stuff, and how that made us sort of have dominion over everything and do terrible things to the world and other animals, that story's not true.
Right.
Others did it before us.
Are there more places like this, do you think, in the world with other non-human histories to explore.
We didn't know Homo naledi, which is species name, existed prior to this discovery in 2013. There's a lot to be found. We are in the infancy of exploration. You know, humans may have walked over every square inch of this planet, but we haven't seen it, and most importantly, we haven't understood it. And I think we're entering the greatest age of exploration.
And that's why you're exploring the cradle of life.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Your book is called Cave of Bones. How does it complement the Netflix show that we're going to all
So
watch
the
tonight?
Netflix show obviously was shot live. It's the experience of a bunch of scientists in the moments of these discoveries. And exciting, I hope, and I think people would be interested in it. But the book digs deep. You get the reasoning behind why we think these. You get the real science, you get the discourse science, and you get to read about me almost dying going in and out. I can't even read it anymore. I get PTSD when I look at it. I get a little bit of that watching the show. I get a lot of that reading the book.
I'm sure. Oh my goodness. What is next for you to explore?
Oh, the next place I haven't been yet. You know, that's the nature of exploration. We are looking for spaces that other people haven't understood and seen. I have a team of about 160 scientists that work with me, explorers in the field right at this very moment, and we are making discoveries. Watch this space.
I can't wait. And that's pretty much, well, what it means, I guess, apparently not just to be human, to be a different.
Well, you know, we do have an explorer gene. We don't know if things like naledi had that gene, but they probably did. You know, they're going into these spaces. That is one of the great things about humans. You know, and you never must lose that. Children have it instinctively.
They do. We have to keep exploring and learning. Thank you so much. Tell me about your event tonight.
So I'm at Benaroya Hall, 7:30, a Nat Geo Live program. You get the whole story in it tonight and tomorrow night.
Oh, I can't wait. Thank you so much again. Here is that info on that right now. Again, as you just mentioned, Monday and Tuesday, today and tomorrow, October 2nd and 3rd, 7:30 p.m. at Benaroya Hall. It's called The Beginning of Us, and both shows will be there, and you can enjoy it.